Exomologiste to Kyrio te agathos, alleluia.
Otis ton neona to eleos aftu, alleluia.
How's it going? So you still believe in Jesus being God?
Yeah.
Oh.
Why is that not a good thing? I don't really know what you believe in.
It's a Muslim, isn't it?
Muslim.
Oh, you're a Muslim. Right. What's wrong with believing Christ is God?
Let's
Well,
get
I
on
would have
with
thought you would have moved on from an anthropomorphic concept of God to a purely intellectual concept of God.
Well, okay, so how exactly? Well, firstly, like, does someone that claims that Christ is God have to like analogically predicate things of God?
Say that again?
Is someone that claims that Christ is God, does he have to analogically predicate things of God?
No, anthropomorphize in terms of
Anthropomorphic?
anthropomorphic. That's right, anthropomorphic. Yeah.
How exactly does that follow?
Well, basically, all the cultures, all the civilizations in history, they've always had an anthropomorphic concept of God.
Okay, and does that mean
Because-
that a trait of a God that doesn't exist is being anthropomorphic? Like, what you're saying is that, like, oh, I can't believe you believe in anthropomorphic God. Firstly, how does that follow
Well,
under the
because
Trinitarian understanding? And secondly,
it's
so far...
it's a very primitive concept because it comes from our own imagination
Oh, okay.
or our own projection
do
of
you believe in, like, the
ourselves.
concept of a fitra?
What?
Do you, like, believe in the fitra, like this idea that there's a common dispensation towards God?
Well, let's not talk about that.
No,
Let's
because
just talk
you
about-
said that anthropomorphism, which I still don't believe has to follow under a Trinitarian understanding, is a primitive understanding of God. Therefore, you should follow a purely intellectual one. But something that is primitive, something that is primitive, right? Do you not believe would just be a result of our fitra, because we're all coming to the same conclusion according to you?
Well, human, for example, so say if you go back, say, even 50 years.
You can answer my question.
No, well, I'm just going to give an example in terms of...
No.
Yeah.
Yes or no? Something that is primitive, something that we see consistently within human behavior, regardless of what society, they come to the same conclusion. Is it just going to be true that this could be a part of the fitra, our given understanding of God within nature?
Well, I think it's a medieval idea or a prehistoric idea.
Okay.
There's a more advanced idea.
Still doesn't answer my question.
Is it more intellectual concept of God, which is what Surah 112 is?
Still doesn't answer my question.
Which is
a primitive understanding, something that is quite prima facie. Is it not going to be something that is a part of the fitra? Because it is all coming from this basic common sense understanding of what they believe God is. Therefore, I think you can make a case for that just being a conclusion coming via the fitra, your dispensation towards God. So how is something that is primitive going to negate like it not being actually something of God?
Because it's so obvious.
What do you mean it's obvious? Anything that is obvious is just going to be coming from the fitra, because then you wouldn't see like a consensus of people coming to the conclusion.
Because if you look at all of human history...
Yeah. But you still haven't given an answer to my question. My question was just like something that is primitive, that people derive from like the minds of humans consistently throughout history.
Exactly, because
it's going to be you agree. So it's a part of the fitra. So your Allah is making me come to this conclusion. Congratulations.
Instead of sort of doing wordplay or sort of trying to sort of manipulate the words and sort of maybe go down a certain direction.
No.
I'm just stating something very simple.
I can syllogize this for you. Okay. Something primitive is a simple concept that people come to the conclusion to, regardless of whether it's been taught to them culturally. Premise two, the fitra is an understning that every given human has this understanding of a purely monotheistic God.
Let's not use the word primitive. Let's just say it's an old belief.
Deriving from what?
According to what people could imagine what God could be.
Okay, they're using their minds, right? Okay, they're using their
But
fitra.
now
They're using
evolve our minds.
they're using their fitra.
Well, you could say that, yeah.
Okay, so you agree that Allah is giving me this knowledge?
Well, it's giving you even more advanced knowledge, but you
So
don't have
He's
the
giving
courage,
me the
you don't have
advanced
the courage
knowledge.
to break free.
The advanced knowledge of technological advancement simply contradicts what Allah has given me. That's great.
But is it Allah?
Pardon?
Is
Well-
it God which is actually giving you this, or is there something else?
How your implication is that throughout human history, people of different cultures and different religions
let me give
has
you
come
another
into the
example.
same conclusion of some sort of anthropomorphism, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
that's what.
Okay.
Imagine.
A case would just be that something that outside of any cultural influence, someone has come into the conclusion of, because they are primitive and have a simple understanding of God, is just going to derive from this concept of fitra that you believe in. Therefore, God is giving me something which is primitive, which supposedly contradicts what God actually is. There you are. Your understanding of God has just therefore contradicted your accusation that the reason why Christianity is false is because for whatever reason, and you still haven't substantiated it, we anthropomorphize God.
It's basically what you're doing is you're worshipping a Jewish rabbi.
Okay?
As simple as that.
So,
That's God.
yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, it's
You're worshipping a man, a Jewish rabbi.
So let
God.
me get this right, and this is like how we essentially reduce Islamic polemics to: a man comes to me with a genuine misunderstood argument. I then give an answer to this argument. Then, because you have nothing else, you then just seem to insult or
I'm not trying to insult. I'm just sort of giving you my opinion.
Okay, that is what we believe. What are you getting out with essentially mentioning a very core understanding of our belief that Christ, the Word of the Father, eternally begotten, incarnates as a man, as a teacher, which is known as a rabbi, and is also Jewish? What exactly is picking out or adding to this conversation when you say that very thing?
That you're worshipping a man.
Okay, we've established that.
Which is wrong.
Now, what is the problem?
in my
Now,
opinion.
what is the problem? Now, what is the problem?
Because a man cannot be God.
Or can God become a man?
It is not in his majesty
Okay.
to...
When you say something is not within the majesty of God, is that picking out actions that God won't do, or he's physically unable to do?
He can do that.
Okay, so my God's majesty is to be able to incarnate as a human person, in which then, because it is not something that contradicts, it's simply something that your God has not decided to do, that's absolutely fine. Now what's the problem?
Well, we'll just have to agree to disagree. As simple as that.
Well, so far you haven't disagreed with anything.
Well, if you go back sort of say 50 years,
Yeah.
and then you look at science fiction movies, and they sort of say, right, if aliens came to Earth and they wanted to defeat mankind,
Yeah.
the general consensus in those movies was they'll come with their huge spaceships with massive machines, yes, to wipe out mankind
Yeah.
and take over the world.
Yeah.
Now that thinking has evolved.
Wait, so...
No.
So
Now that- no, let me
the
just finish the
Christian
point, let me
belief
just finish the
derives from a 50s understanding of
Let me just
sci-fi
finish- let me just
movies.
finish. Now that thinking has evolved
Oh,
in
sure.
terms of if an alien race wanted to take over the planet, they would just release a tiny particle, a single virus, engineered to wipe out the human race. There'd be no big machines, no big spaceships.
What are you
our
talking about?
Our intellectual thinking has now evolved.
Why are you talking about sci-fi movies from the 50s, man? Get to your point.
Because before we thought that the aliens
By the
were
way-
thinking
by the way,
the same
it's-
way that we were thinking at the time.
You're talking about a 2,000-year-old religion. Why are you mentioning
Well, that's what I'm
sci-fi
saying.
movies?
It's a 2,000-year-old religion.
Yeah.
And what people used to think 50 years ago in terms of how, because they could
Do you know
only
I could say the
imagine-
same thing about Muslims, right?
Well, there's a pure concept of God in Surah 112.
Well, not even that. I could just say, well, why do I have to believe in this 7th century guy who very obviously has the morals of a 7th century person?
Because the concept of God in the Quran, which is Surah 112, is very close to...
That's not what I'm saying. That's not
the science fiction.
That's not what I'm saying. If you want to say that our understanding of things have gradually developed,
changed, yes,
okay.
Advanced.
Why? If I would say that this man who very obviously follows morals from the time of the 7th century, why do I have to follow him now?
Well, I'm not saying that you should follow him.
Oh, so I don't have to follow Muhammad.
Follow the message.
So I don't have to follow Muhammad.
Well, we're all just following the message.
Do you follow hadiths?
Not necessarily.
Oh, so you don't follow hadiths?
I concentrate on the Quran.
No. Do you follow hadiths? Like if a hadith is sahih and it goes back to the time of the Prophet.
Let's not get to the hadith.
No. We are
just
because these are the things transmitted supposedly by the followers of Muhammad. So let's go there. I've got a question. So if you believe that we don't need to follow Muhammad, so why then are the hadiths that go back to the time of the Prophet Sunnis have to follow?
Well, I concentrate on the
Sir,
Quran.
you focus on it, you still accept hadiths. It's not answering my question. My question to you is very simple. We have these hadiths going back to the time of the Prophet. Sayings of the Prophet you have to follow. So if we don't have to accept Muhammad, why then do we have to accept hadiths by Muhammad? My simple question. Because this isn't like...
Well, I'm not saying that you should accept the hadiths.
So are you saying that I shouldn't accept them?
I'm not saying that you should.
Okay. Should I or should I not follow the hadiths?
If they contradict the Quran, then...
Well, what about if they add things to the Quran? Like, the Quran does not say something, the hadiths say something. Should I follow what the hadiths say?
Well, if they fit into common sense...
Like, would you cut your beard?
Huh?
Would you cut your beard?
Yes.
Okay. Hadiths say you can't do that.
Well, then you could see.
Okay. Do you pray 5 times a day?
Because
do you pray 5 times a day? Where in the Quran does it say that?
Well, it doesn't.
Okay, so where are you getting that from?
Well, from my parents.
No, where are your parents getting that from?
Well, they're getting it. Yeah, of course. I know where you're going. But the point is...
Okay, so should a Muslim pray 5 times a day?
They don't know these things, do they? They don't know when you first come.
Yes, I think so.
Why?
Because it's a good idea.
Okay, could someone pray 3 times a day?
Possibly.
Okay, I've got a question. Going back to common sense, your version of Islam is practically not followed by no one. So why should I believe that a religion given to us by God is not followed, and the interpretation of that religion is not followed by essentially no one?
Say that again?
Yeah, so my understanding is that God is going to give, if he gives a religion and he wants people to follow God, then there's no real reason to then have a religion that no one really follows. So your version of Islam is essentially followed by no one. So why then does God make a religion that it's irrelevant?
Well, no, I do follow what it says in the Quran, which is
no. Sunnis have another understanding of what you follow. Sunnis are the majority, therefore I believe that we can kind of outline within natural theology that your interpretation of Islam, if the claim is that it's from God, is kind of null and void.
Well, I suppose we just have to...
Do you shake my hand then?
Agree to disagree.
Go on then. Nice to meet you, sir.
Oh, you too. But I just try to concentrate on the core principles, which is God is one.
I can say that about literally everything. It's kind of irrelevant. Like to say I follow the core principles of... It's like when a Christian wants to not do things, they kind of say, well, I just follow what the Bible says, because they want to alleviate any traditions.
Exactly, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just dishonesty. You have to have the grounding of your tradition of what your religion says. If you don't, you're then selectively misfollowing the religion that supposedly is given to you by God. And very clearly, the Quran is not a clear book. You need hadith and the tafsirs. If you don't follow it, firstly, you have the issue of, well, a religion that's brought by God is not followed by anyone. So God has made a religion that supposedly is made as a mechanism towards your salvation, but has been followed by no one. So practically no one is saved.
Okay, well, leave it there. Nice talking with you.
Nice talking to you, my friend.
You too. Okay, thanks.
I think that video kind of speaks for itself in terms of the argument there. I'm incredibly exhausted, so I'm going to keep this wrap out kind of brief. But again, like I said, I'm currently being reported by the Prevent Social Services and the police. So if you mind sending me support, go on christiancorner.org. That'd be greatly appreciated. But besides from that, God bless you all.
Look at the wrong camera.
I don't really care.